Hollywood is on fire. The situation in Los Angeles is dire. Celebrities are beginning to turn on DEI and realize it's not climate change, but incompetence that is destroying their homes. Now the media cover-up begins. And folks, we're here to make sure they cannot ring in more mistruths. Get ready. We'll show you Operation Prevent Blame on the leadership that's gone insane in California. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Pro Channel, where we as ever endeavor to explain entertainment, keep you ahead of the culture curve, and we're doing so from a studio in somewhere sunny USA. So regardless if you are in the hellscape that is Southern California, or whether you are enjoying the melting snowman in the heartland of America, just know that you're welcome here, where the beams of sunlight are streaming through the window, and we're happy to have you. Folks, as we get ready to get started, consider clicking the like button, and also a reminder, as a first principles statement, our goal here is to make sure that people don't suffer. It's one of our standing, basic, fundamental guidelines. We don't want people to suffer. So recently you heard us talk about how we were very happy that apparently Mark Hamill's house had been saved from the fires. Sounds like that's not true. He, along with many other celebrities, have lost their homes. Regardless of their politics, regardless of what they believe, regardless of the insane policies that have been developed that allowed these sorts of things to happen, we take no joy ever in the suffering of others. We wish those who have lost the best we can, and we're here to uncover what's really going on. Let's start here with Liz Churchill. Folks, this is a video you just cannot miss. Get ready. You're going to be so much smarter and understand what's at play right now because you watch this video. Hang tight. From Liz Churchill, it says, what? Oregon sent 60 fire trucks only for them to be stopped in San Fran for emissions testing? Now watch this, folks, and I want you to tell you, this guy is not going to get everything right. In fact, I'll go ahead and read you the community check. YouTube, you seeing this? YouTube, you seeing this? We're making sure that we get everything perfectly accurate, which is definitely not what the legacy media does. Readers added context. We sent 75 fire engines. Your statement about our teams not being allowed into California is false. Our teams arrived yesterday and are working around the clock to help our neighbors, Oregon Fire Department. That's what was added as context. Now I'm going to show you how misleading even the community notes this time are. Sorry, Elon. All right, here's the video, and I'm going to show you why you do not despise the legacy media enough. Here we go.
What a scam. They just talked to the senator of California, and here's the update. They're talking about something completely irrelevant. Oregon sent 60 fire trucks, only for them to get stopped in San Francisco for, guess what? Emissions testing, which they're probably not going to pass. The whole state's on fire, and they're finding a reason to not allow 60 more fire trucks to come help us out. That sounds like they want us to burn. I am in shock. I'm pissed. I don't know what to do. I'm actually going to have to evacuate. Like, you guys don't understand. Where this fire is, my house is like right there. Like, I'm right here.
So you can imagine why this guy is frustrated. His home is nearby, and it's not just celebrities who are losing property. People of all economic statuses are losing their properties, losing their memories, losing their homes, their assets. And we hope they're not losing their family members or their pets or their loved ones or any of that kind of thing. But you can imagine why this guy would be unhappy. And it's okay. You know, we always want to get things right. But it's okay if he gets a few things off in what he's describing. We don't want to get lost debating, the trees and not see the entire forest. And that's what's happening here. And I think purposefully so by the media. Let me show you what really happened. I said on X, you don't hate them enough. They fact check out-of-state fire trucks were sent away from California due to emissions. What they bury in the article is that, yes, out-of-state trucks were delayed days by stupid safety checks once they reached state lines. In other words, this guy got the essence of it right. He got the minutia wrong. The media is adjusting to community notes. Because what the media now, the legacy dinosaur going extinct media, what they're doing is they've figured out how to play the game to win the community note war, but they're definitely not. They're 100% for sure not going to tell the truth. Here's what we've got out of KATU out of Oregon. And remember that Oregon Oregon is a state that is run by Portland. You can't get more wackadoodle than Oregon. Well, California. But no, I think Oregon's even farther than Cali. And so Oregon is sending these fire trucks to go help, right? And at this point, California should be saying, everybody, everywhere, send us everything you've got. Help, 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 help. SOS, 911. Send us everything you've got. Oregon, which is as far to the left as you can get, sends them fire trucks. Here's what happened. And pay attention to the way this article is written. This is by Bobby Corser. Fact check, Oregon fire engines allowed to fight wildfires in California. Okay. KATU News has been made aware of a post on a social media site claiming that the 60 fire engines from Oregon would not be allowed in California to help battle the wildfires around Los Angeles due to emissions. Now, right off the bat, that paragraph is incorrect because you heard him say that they got stopped in San Fran. So that means they were in California, according to him. Now, that's also not exactly correct, but again, it's the fog of war, right? It's the fog of breaking news. People get things wrong, especially when your house is in danger and you're frustrated. Here's how the media plays this game, though. It says a spokesperson with Cal Fire says that is patently false. No vehicles from Oregon have been turned around or refused service. Now pay attention to the second part. Or refused service at Davis Mobile Equipment. Excuse me? What? And all out-of-state vehicles have been serviced and are heading to or have arrived in Southern California. Okay, hang on, folks. No emissions testing was performed. All repairs were completed the same day, with the exception of a couple because of parts, but turnaround was early the next day. Can I explain? Well, we'll read one more and I'll explain it to you. These inspections ensure all engines on an emergency scene are equipped, mechanically sound, and able to respond. This ensures our number one priority of a safe deployment for our firefighters, the Oregon State Fire Marshal's office said. Government got to defend government, right? That's right. Bros before those in the know. All right, here's what happened, according to this article. They sent the fire trucks in from Oregon. They made it down, and we believe they made it to about Sacramento. That's what we're hearing. Now, could have been somewhere else. Maybe it was San Fran, but we're hearing Sacramento. Cannot verify that. Want to be careful to say so. You got down there, and despite what any common sense individual would do, which is to say, help, 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 911, SOS, send us everything you got. We're waiving every kind of, regulation that'll stop the help from our brothers and sisters across the country. California didn't do that. So Oregon sends in these fire trucks. Clearly the fire trucks work because the fire trucks drove all the way from Oregon to at least Central California. At least. That's a long way. So they come from Oregon, probably Portland, all the way down the Pacific Highway. Make it all the way down to Central California, whether it's San Fran or Sacramento, doesn't matter. And there, they had to be inspected. It wasn't good enough they drove all that way, hundreds of miles. Got to be inspected. You'd think somebody would have been out there with a flag, waving them on, saying, don't stop, the houses are burning, the fires, they're killing us, get down there and save us. You'd have thought people would have been on the interstate as the Oregon fire trucks drove by, applauding them. No. Instead, according to this article, they were stopped. But folks, it wasn't for emissions. Community notes, fact check, untrue. It wasn't for emissions. It was for safety. See, these fire trucks that were gifted along with their crews and drove hundreds of miles had to be checked. And then, turns out that even wackadoodle Oregon does not keep those fire trucks up to the levels that California requires. California has these extra things they require. For safety, of course. Because everything's safe down there in Los Angeles, and so we got to make sure these fire trucks don't disrupt the safety levels that we're clearly seeing in the hellscape that is Los Angeles. So they made them stop and get safety inspected. And then, over here at, let's look and see, what was the name of this place? Well, Davis Mobile Equipment. Over at Davis Mobile Equipment, they had to get service. And none of them were refused service. How long do you think it took 60 fire trucks to get serviced by a single place called Davis Mobile Equipment? You want to think about that? Now, some of them had to wait till the next day. And this guy, I don't know what his name is, but this guy, we're going to mute him. We'll just let him talk in the background. This guy's frustrated because he heard that fire trucks got stopped. Bunch of them. And they're not there fighting the fires. And, well, he's right. He just got the emissions part wrong, and he might have got the city wrong, but he got everything else right. And so what's the result? Fact check. Got fact check. Why? Because these people right here have figured out the community note system. And it's not just them, it's the rest of the legacy media too. Bobby Corser should be ashamed. Disgusting. Fact check. Oregon fire engines allowed to fight wildfires in California after they got stopped. How many houses you think 60 fire trucks could have saved? If you just said, hey, don't stop. You're on the road, you're driving. You were good in Oregon, you're good here. Keep going, guys. How many houses? These people are imbeciles. They're absolute imbeciles. It's amazing. Just amazing. CAL FIRE tells KATU News the safety checks are related to mechanical operations such as brakes. That's good. It's really good that their brakes got inspected and repaired. Got to have good brakes. You really need those good brakes. You know what else you need? You need some breaking news. By BG Wellborn, an apology, Beige or BG, if I got your name wrong. Would love to know how to say it. Love to get names right. This is out of hot air. Breaking: Los Angeles mayor fires the fire chief. Or did she? They don't tell you this stuff in the legacy media. Here's what's going on. Now, I'm going to be reading this in first person because it's written in first person, but just know that I'm not the one who wrote it, okay? It says, I have to admit I was expecting the knives to come out, but not like this, not 15 minutes ago. So that would be about 8 Central. The author of this article was watching a Jake Tapper interview with Kristen Crowley, the LAFD fire chief. She was being flat out honest about the shortages they've worked under. Now, remember, I'm not a fan necessarily of the fire chief because the fire chief has been very, well, you've seen the memes out there, right? About the firefighters saying, if your husband gets stuck in there and I can't carry him out because, they're a woman, it's not my fault. It's his fault for being there. Yeah, switch that around to about any other scenario and see how that plays out. Try telling a woman who's in a dangerous situation in a dark alley at night that if she calls for help and you want her to get her out of there, well, it's her fault. She shouldn't have been there. See how that plays out. Won't go well. You know why? Because it's not good to say that. Because it's wrong. It's not heroic. It sucks. So I'm not a big fan of Crowley, but I feel for Crowley because, listen, if you're a firefighter and you don't have water, you got a hard job, eh? That's like being a construction worker without a hammer. It's like being a teacher without a classroom. I don't know how to help you at McDonald's if you run out of beef patties. Like, I guess you're down to bread sandwiches. And they're down to bread sandwiches at the fire department because there's no water. No water. Maybe there's some water. I don't want to get this video in trouble. Maybe there's some, right? But you've heard the reports. You've seen the things. We're going to be careful here. It's our estimation that there's less water than there should be. All right, let's hear what she said.
Let me be clear. The $17 million budget cut and the elimination of our civilian positions like our mechanics did and has and will continue to severely impact our ability to repair our apparatus. So with that, we have over 100 fire apparatus out of service. And having...
Yeah, you hear that? 100 apparatus out of service. Those 60 fire trucks, if they had just been allowed to keep on going, it could have been real helpful. I bet the fire didn't pause. Do you think that happened, folks? Do you think the fire took a pause and says, hey, Joe, I'm hearing that the fire trucks is not going to be on the way today, so perhaps we should stop burning the buildings for a little bit, eh? I don't think the fire did that. Could have used those 60 fire trucks.
These apparatus in the proper amount of mechanics would have helped. And so it did absolutely negatively impact. I want to also be clear that I have, over the last 3 years, been clear that the fire...
All right, so there's a lot of finger pointing. Maybe she's right. Maybe she's not. Maybe it's, there is lots of blame. You don't get into this situation without lots of blame. The author says, I found myself sympathizing with her. I didn't see it as eating each other alive anymore, especially as I'd watched her earlier interview with a local news station. The reporter had pressed the chief right out of the gate. Did they fail you? Referring to the massive budget cuts that her department had been laboring under. The water that was supposed to be in the hydrants. And the chief, to her credit, said yes. This is that video where she says, yes, we'll play it.
Period. Did the city of Los Angeles fail you and your department and our city?
It's my job to stand up as a chief and exactly say justifiably what the fire department needs to operate to meet the demands of the community.
Did they fail you?
That is our job. And I tell you, that's why I'm here. So let's get us what we need so our firefighters can do their jobs.
Did they fail you?
Yes.
So that got her in some trouble. I would say it got her in hot water, but they don't even have that kind of water in California, apparently. That, yes, got her fired by Mayor Karen, I Love Ghana in the Winter Bass, shortly thereafter. Here's what had come out from the Daily Mail. LA Fire Chief is dismissed by Mayor Karen Bass after lashing out over department cuts as deadly blazes devastate city. Now, you'll see that got community noted. But the interesting thing about this is maybe she was fired. Maybe there was a falling out for a period of time. Let's see what it says here. Department Chief Kristen Crowley was fired by Mayor Karen Bass on Friday afternoon, a source close to the chief's office told DailyMail.com. Kristen was summoned by Bass this afternoon about 4 p.m. She came back from that meeting, hugged her staff goodbye, and left. She said she was fired. The alleged booting follows Crowley lashing out against the mayor's cuts to her department in an interview with a local Fox TV station around 12 p.m. Friday. Well, having your fire chief think they're fired at a point like this, that's all normal, right? Holy crapolas, as all hell's breaking loose at the news, Mayor Bass's office sent out panicked messages. No, I did not. And that's how you get that community notice, because they updated and said, no, she's not fired. Isn't it interesting? The fire chief, allegedly, from the Daily Mail, thought she was fired. And then the community notes get updated by the LA mayor's office to say, no, she's not fired, even though the fire chief thinks she's fired. This is how they have figured out how they can work these community notes now. And so I think the general public and the people who have earned the ability through fair-headed and well-minded consistency, those people who have managed to become community note checkers, they're going to have to become more savvy, because they're going to have to understand that the legacy media is playing the game differently now. And I think, by the way, the community notes are going to quickly adapt to this and figure out how this game is now being played. Because the legacy media, they move slow. They move so slow. They're so slow at this. It says, have you ever seen a blank show such as this? I have no doubt, this author, Bass fired her and then had an OMG WTF I do moment, totally resulting in an even more excruciatingly cringe statement. So there you go. Also finding out from libs of TikTok that $48.8 million was demanded to be cut from the fire department days before the fires broke out. You can see the document there. Things are going well in California. Things are going really well. So what's the result of this level of incompetence? From Newsweek by Flynn Nichols. The Pacific Palisades wildfire, which has been raging in Los Angeles since Tuesday, spread east on Friday, now reaching the affluent neighborhoods of Brentwood and Encino, home to several celebrities. Now let's all remember that the Palisades, that's one of the nicest communities in the entire country. Now, I know that Washington, D.C., they have the nicest neighborhoods, right? Because, well, that's where all of your tax dollars and all the corporate lobby money goes to make sure that people who do very little get to live in maximum luxury. But the Palisades they're up there. They are the West Coast East Hamptons. And they're the West Coast Martha's Vineyard. So they're nice. And everybody knows each other there. Traffic's not bad. Celebrities strolling along the sidewalks. It's a beautiful place. Until incompetence destroys everything. Says the Palisades fire, the largest of 4 currently active in the city, has leveled much of that neighborhood and caused 2 deaths, according to California's Department of Forestry and Fire Protection. As of Sunday morning, the blaze is still only 11% contained, and the escalation means that new neighborhoods and properties are under threat in the region. Now, let me say that again, folks. 11%. We've been covering this for days. 11%. And I'm going to tell you a very unfortunate truth about this. When we call these wildfires, a lot of people will think that we're talking about actual forests. And sometimes we are, to some degree, but a lot of times we're talking about subdivision fires. And the only way that you can have an entire subdivision just ignite and house after house after house after house be burned, one, you have to have proximity. Two, you have to have it be really dry. But three, you got to have no water, because water stops this. Because you can cover these homes and boundaries in very wet mud. You can do all kinds of things to wet the properties. We're talking about houses, house after house after house in subdivisions. These are subdivisions burning down. Essentially, these are gated communities burning down. It's unfortunate. It's sad. As we said before, the policies that have, the policies have made this possible, and people made the policies. There are victims here who had nothing to do with this, but there are also victims here who they have self-victimized by having horrific and terrible desires for governance. But if it brings you joy to watch people lose everything, then you got to check yourself. You need to be your own community note checker. Because if how about this? We have watched people in the postmodern neo-Marxist crowd say things and take joy in things of a horrific nature where somebody is suffering and they take joy in it. Take Gina Carano, for example. You have watched some of these celebrities take joy. You've watched some of their sycophants take joy at the suffering of Gina. Now, you can answer that by taking joy at their homes burning down. But if you do so, you're just like them. And if you're just like them, then all we're doing here is we're fighting for one side to be over the other side. And we've lost the principle of the thing. The principle of the thing is you're not like the people who take joy in the suffering of others. Are you? The only way to prove that is you have to be better than them in this moment. You have to remember that we don't take joy in the suffering of others, that our goal is to lessen the suffering. And the way that you lessen the suffering is through good governance, through transparency, through following the truth with a capital T. And the way you do that is you convince people of your ideas. And one way you can convince people of your ideas is that when obviously this is not climate change that did this, you say to them, look, there's a better way, and I'm really, really sorry that you lost all of this. I'm really sorry that some of the most beautiful communities on the planet are gone and are unlikely to ever return again. I'm really sorry. It hurts my heart that you're hurting, that you don't have a bed to go back to, and that so much of your memorabilia from your career is gone. It hurts my heart to know that you're hurting. I hope that we can navigate to a better future with some better decision making in the future. And if they want to stick to the boogeyman, that the conservatives and climate change, like some sort of dark voodoo spell, came sucking into LA and sacked their homes, then you can't help them. But there are people in the middle who go, I think it has something to do with no water being here, or less water than we need. I think that might have something to do with it. And those people can be convinced. And what are we trying to convince them of? We're trying to convince them that in governance, in entertainment, in their corporate policies, we want them to get away from power narratives and from winner-take-all narratives, and we want them to go back to meritocracy. We want them to buy into truth again, that people have to be competent, and that you need to put people who are competent in leadership. Because if the people in leadership are only good at talking and making themselves look good, they're not going to make your home look good when it burns to the ground. By the way, Chris Pratt deserves a shout out here. Says, thank you to the brave firefighters and first responders who are working tirelessly to protect lives, homes, and wildlife. That is a very good message. Schwarzenegger with another good message. LeBron James, he says, I pray this nightmare ends soon. So many prayers. And LeBron James, of course, his mansion, one of his mansions, is under threat. He has a Brentwood mansion, $23 million. Kamala Harris, by the way, and Doug Emhoff own a Brentwood mansion that's inside the evacuation order zone. So this is hitting people, people you've heard of, people you know. It continues to hit. And again, as of recording, 11% contained. That's a problem. It's a problem. So what you got to ask yourself is, if people who knew what they were doing and people who had prepared for this were in charge, what would be the containment level? This might be an opportunity to learn and to get better. Let's hope that is. And by the way, on that note, here's some positivity. The Walt Disney Company commits $15 million to Los Angeles area fire relief and rebuilding efforts. It's a press release. We're not going to read it because you got it. It's in the title. You can read it right here on the screen. But Disney is going to be giving $15 million to the fire. What would you say? I don't want to say rebuilding efforts because I don't know that they can rebuild. Charitable giving to the victims of the fires. How's that? These communities they're not going to come back in the same way, unfortunately. It's really, really sad. But Disney's giving $15 million, and they should be commended for that. And hopefully other companies will do the same. Hopefully other organizations will be helpful to them. And at the same time, folks, don't forget, if you're looking for things to do and places to give and places you could be charitable, there are a lot of people in North Carolina who they're hurting. They got hit by a hurricane in a once-in-a-century kind of situation where the eye of a hurricane went basically straight up a river gorge, dumped tons of water, very little wind, but tons of water, straight down into a very particular river gorge that then caused that river gorge to flood and sweep everything out. And so the people who lived in that area, and it's a beautiful area, I've been there before, the people who lived there, well, they watched everything just slide on down the river. And the way the federal government responded to them might not have been the same. So there's lots of people hurting. I hope if you are a person of means that you'll do your best to help them out. And we'll be doing some of that in the days to come once we get a hold of exactly what is needed. Also, folks, if you're not a person of means, and if you are, perhaps thoughts and prayers, emphasis on the prayers would be great. All right, folks, that is the video for today. It is a long one. We don't typically go that long, especially when I don't have a guest. But we wanted you to understand what's really going on and the way the media is playing this, because the media is attempting very much to scapegoat, gaslight, hide what's really going on. And now you know. And we made clear, I hope, what the result of that is. Because the blame game, it only goes so far. This has resulted in the destruction of people who played the blame game and people who did not. We wish them well. Folks, help us wish this video well by clicking the like button, share, subscribe, click it and stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. And folks, until the next time, we have the honor and the joy of joining you from a studio in somewhere sunny USA. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
Clickbait, fraud, drama queen. Ugh, I wish there was a channel that was 5 to 6 minute news reads without the drama, frauds, and clickbait that could accurately let me know the current news, providing my crucial context utilizing all the different That Park Place contributors and creators.
Well, stupid, there is. It's the That Park Place YouTube channel, which will be going live real soon, so make sure you're subscribed so you can really stick it to the algorithms.
You're joking.
Nope.
Oh my.
Wow.